Chavod Levavot, we're talking about how a person who doesn't study the greatness of Hashem and doesn't study what Hashem commands us to do in regards to bitachon, very likely he will not have bitachon. He'll not be able to trust in Hashem. So he says, we quoted a pasuk in Malachi, right? That said what? He says that test me with this. Hashem says you could test him when it comes to maaser. Hashem says give maaser, and you're zgulat to become wealthy. Test me and you'll see that you'll actually become wealthy. So the verse in Malachi says that we're allowed to test Hashem in regards to this mitzvah. So in general, we have no right to expect such a compensation. For a person might be righteous and yet encounter suffering in this world, right? We know that there's a concept tzaddik v'ralo. Sometimes there's a tzaddik and he suffers. But you see that in regards to maaser, you're allowed to test Hashem, and if you're righteous, you deserve. Some Rishonim maintain that this permit is strictly limited to maaser, but it's forbidden to test Hashem with any other mitzvah, even tzedakah. One cannot give tzedakah with the intention of, let's see what Hashem rewards me with this tzedakah. Others say, no, you're allowed to test Hashem with tzedakah, because tzedakah and maaser are both the same. They're analogous in this regard. Chavod Levavot does not say which opinion he follows, but the point is that there is a situation where you're allowed to test Hashem. So I don't understand. So then, if you're not allowed to do mitzvot and say, let's see what Hashem gives me, so why are you allowed to do it by maaser? Why is maaser different? So the Maggid Meduvna says a nice mashal. He says there was a merchant who arrived in a city with a wagon load of fabric in individual rolls, and each customer that gathered, he told them each stick has 60 meters of fabric. Even though some sticks of fabric were bigger than the others, that's only because of the thickness of the fabric, but they had 60 meters nonetheless. Not taking him at his word, the customer says, I don't trust you that there's 60 meters. I want to measure it myself. And what? They would unroll, of course, but to unroll each 60 meters is long, is huge. So what do? They said they chose the thinnest one, and they said, if we measure one, the thinnest one, for sure it has 60 meters, then for sure all the others also have 60 meters, right? So then they said, Hashem assures us also that Hashem says, listen, if you don't trust me, I'll let you measure one of the sticks. I'll let you measure one mitzvah. Measure maaser. But once you see by maaser that I pull through and I deliver, then you'll know by the rest, I'll also do the same thing. You're not allowed to measure all of them. Just measure one. If this one's good, you'll see that all the mitzvot are also good. Good. Says the Chavod Levavot. The third factor is that another obstacle to bitachon is nitoto el asibot krovot asher roeh otan. A person's tendency is to focus on what's in front of him and not to see multiple phases behind, multiple steps behind what he sees, right? For example, if a person sees his business is generating good profit, he could, Chaz Shalom, think, oh, you see, it's my doing, my speaking skills, my handiwork, my success is based on my location, because it's a lucrative business. It's very hard to always remember that it's Hashem behind everything. So therefore, it's very easy to look at the immediate cause. He says that the opposite, the further the causes are, the more capable they are of benefiting or harming them in a significant, evident way. Meaning to say that when a person gets success, he has to know it's from Hashem. When a person gets hurt, it's also, you have to know Hashem is behind it as well, right? So everything should only be attributed to Hashem, the true cause of everything. Okay, fine. He says, let's say, for example, a king, right? When he wants to punish one of his servants, what does he do? He commands his viceroy to make it happen. And what? The slave, he hates the viceroy. The viceroy says, you shouldn't hate me, I'm just a messenger. Go speak to the king. The king himself ordered this, it's not me. So therefore, that's how we always have to look at it as when a person loses money because of somebody, or a person loses money in the business, or a person makes money. It's not the customer that made you rich. It's not the boss that made you rich. It's a Kadosh Baruch Hu. He's the one who gave the decree. He's the one who said that they should be that way. So therefore, that's another thing that people have to look past. They have to be willing to look past that. Okay, finally, he says levels of bitachon. So we discuss the different obstacles. Now he says how we're going to grow in this. He says, "Ki yitaron habitachon botchim be'elokim kifi yitaron yidatam oto emunatam ba'anko alehem v'rov hashgachato al tovatam." The better you are by realizing that you trust in Hashem, you know how great His divine presence is, and you're aware of Him, and you know that Hashem sees to every detail that happens to you, and He does it tailor-made for your best interest. Once you know that, so then you're better and way ahead and better than everybody else. He says the first level of bitachon is what? When a child, right? A child, is he nervous where he's going to get milk from? He just cries and throws his worries on Hashem. In some ways, we have to be like a child. That whenever we need something, we should cry to Hashem and realize He should provide for us. Second level is when the perception of a child grows, he expands his reliance to the entirety of his mother. Now, a child, he only knows about milk. When a child gets older, he knows about clothes, he knows about shoes, he knows about food, he knows about supplies, he knows about more than just food. And all that, he still relies on his mother. He thinks that he just tells his mother, Ima, I need shoes, Ima, I need this, Ima, I need a shower, Ima, I need the bathroom. So he goes and he relies on his mother, and we have to rely on Hashem as well. He says when the child gets even older, he sees that his mother's ability to take care of him is really who? Is really because of the father. He asks Ima, how do you buy for me all this stuff? He says, I don't work. Abba works. Abba gives me money to buy. So he finds out afterwards it's not really his mother who provides everything for him. It's really his father who gives his mother money, or gives his mother all the food that she needs, all the supplies that she needs to provide for him. So he realizes there's somebody behind his mother. And then when he gets older, he realizes that, where does my father get all the money from? He goes to work. It's because my father goes to work. That's how he's able to give to my mom. And that's how my mom is able to give to me. And then when he gets older, then how does my father make money? Because of the customers? And he thinks it's the customers who support him. And then he realizes eventually it's all Hashem. Hashem who supports him. Hashem who really gives my father parnasat tova. So you see that we all go through the same experience. In the beginning we think, this is what gives it to me. And then we think, no, really, this is what's the source. And then eventually we have to realize that Hashem is behind everything at the end. He says a story. There was a pious man who had a neighbor who was an expert sofer. He was a scribe. And this neighbor would support himself with his writings. He would go and sell his writings. So one day the pious man said to him, how is everything with you? He said, good. As long as my hand is intact, I'm good. He said to him, why'd you say that? He says, because my hand is what gives me my parnasah. You know how doctors, they're also the same thing. Watch for my hand. Hey, this is my money maker. Be careful with my hands. So therefore, what happens? He says that evening, because he said that, he had an accident. And what happened? And he couldn't write for the rest of his life. His hand got injured. And the pious man says that was a punishment from God. Because he was believing that what his parnasah was coming from where? From his hand. Hashem says, no, you're wrong. I'll take it away. And hopefully he'll still be able to make parnasah a different way. But Hashem was punishing him for the way he spoke, showed a lack of bitachon. He thought the hand is what gives him parnasah, and not Hashem, Chas v'Shalom. So therefore, a person tells you, hey, how'd you make so much success? He says, listen, I worked hard, I hustled, or, I got into the business at the right time, or I know the market very well. Or he says, listen, jewelry always sells. Jewelry always makes money. Or some people say, no, you can't go into this business. Only barbers make money. Only jewelers make money. This is the only way to make money. You only have to be a lawyer, doctor. This is the only way to make money. All these things show lack of bitachon, chas v'shalom. It could cause HaKadosh Baruch Hu to take it away. The sofer said, business is good as long as my hand is working. Hashem took it away and made it that his hand wouldn't work, for him to realize, no, it's Hashem who gives. It's not your skills that give. Baruch